How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today I'm bringing back a reboot of an old series that I did when I started the channel, and that is the Cube Draft 101 series. So this is basically a series covering Cube Draft and giving all the useful information you can help to take part in Cube Draft, building the cube, and just trying the format in general. Because when I started this channel, the reason behind starting it was because in every TCG I've played Cube Draft, and it's one of my favourite formats, and it's very enjoyable. And when I came into the Dragon Ball Super card game, after a few sets, I thought, is there any information about this? And I went to have a look it up, and found that there were no information, no videos, nothing about Cube Draft really in it. So I decided, since I do enjoy Cube Draft and have a bit of experience playing Cube Draft, I thought I'd put some information out there and tailor it specifically to the Dragon Ball Super card game. So if any like-minded people who come into the game and want to try out this format, they can go ahead and try it out again. Because I find this is a great format that is very skillful and also has a benefit that takes you into Constructed, which is how to build your own decks. Because back when the game first started, it was you were more rewarded for building your own deck, like a building deck, trying out tech choices, and there's a lot more deck building into it. But ever since we started the Unison Warrior series and having specific blocks regarding mechanics, it's kind of changed because most decks now come with a built-up archetype that they didn't really have to think about or put together, apart from some colors, and that's kind of taken away. And Cube Draft is a great thing to promote that, test that out, and improve your skills on it. And when I started the channel, because there's no information, I put out some Cube Draft videos, started off with that. But over the years, or over the time since I started it, I've kind of drifted off further into just being like a normal channel, putting out deck profiles and things like that, tournament reports. And while I'll still be doing that, I'm just going to go back to my roots and try and put out more Cube Drafted videos, because that is the basis of why this channel was made. So, starting off, we're going to go with the first episode of my Cube Draft 101. But before we do get in the video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the video, and it keeps you updated with my videos as they need to drop. And if you love Cube Draft like I do, this should be a very handy series. And also, if you do want to join in some Cube Drafts, starting this year, because I asked some feedback about my weekly webcam locals I do. Some people advised they would like some like a fun format once every so often, so I decided that at the end of every month, the last Friday of every month, I will be doing a Cube Draft to kind of give people a break from the webcam and just try out this nice fun format. But without further ado, if you do want to join that, check out the Discord link below in the description, and we're going to get into the video and check out the first one of the Cube Draft 101 series, being an intro to Cube Draft. So, with Cube Draft, you might be wondering, you might have a question in your mind. First of all, starting off as, what is Cube Draft? Because you might have heard in passing what draft is, but maybe not specifically what Cube Draft is, because there are different ways to draft, and there are different formats of different games, and you might have heard this in passing or from other people and not actually know what is, or looked it up and might not get an answer, like a proper answer or an answer to what you actually want. So I'm going to answer this question, but first, in order to answer this question, what I need to do is answer some other questions, because you probably have some other questions with it, and I'm going to see if I can get them right with this. And firstly, the first question you might be asking, as we've kind of been going over, is what is draft? Because like I said, you might have been wondering what is a draft, heard it in passing but not actually know what it is. Well, drafting is a way to play almost any TCG, and what you do is you sit down with some other players, each with 6 packs of cards, and then you, along with everybody else you're drafting with, open 1 pack each, and then you select or draft, air quotes, 1 card from that pack, and then you pass the rest of the cards to the player on your left, and then continue on until all cards are picked. And the pick order is reversed each round until the draft is finished. So once you've gone through the first pack and it's gone round and every card in that pack is picked, that first round of packs are picked, you then pick up every player picks up a second pack, does the same thing, opens it, picks or drafts a card from it, and then instead you pass it to your right, so you keep going left, right, until it's all done. And then what you're left with is a pool of cards using the cards you picked, and you use that pool of cards, or card pool, to then go ahead and build your deck and then play using the deck you built. And so that is an answer to what is draft. And then you might have another question, and that question is probably, what is a cube? Well, An easy way to answer that is a cube is a large collection of cards used for drafting. And drafting a cube is similar to drafting regular booster packs, but instead of drafting from 6 12-card Dragon Ball Super booster packs, you draft from 12-card packs, air quotes again, that you create from the cube. The number of cards in a cube can vary, as it is a player-made set, because it's made in the eyes of the person who built the cube. And for Dragon Ball Super, it's usually a set of 576 cards created for the specific purpose of drafting. And the reason for that is because really the number of people you want in a draft is around about 8. And as I said, you each get 6 packs, which includes 12 cards each. And you put it all together, and that all comes up to 576. So that is basically what a cube is. So hopefully that is a clear explanation of what draft is and what a cube is. And the next question you probably have is, which is the last question I'm going to answer in this video, ready? Because this is just the intro to cube draft. And that is, what are the rules to cube? So for most ECGs there aren't really any cube specific rules, only a few commonly followed standards. However, different games have different mechanics, and for Dragon Ball Super card game there are some that make sense to follow because, as I said, not all games are the same, and with our game specifically there are some mechanics, and some great mechanics really, that set it apart from other games. And the first one is regarding leader cards. So the leader card is a core mechanic of the Dragon Ball Super card game, and you cannot really build a deck without one. A leader card is something that you can also base your deck around when constructing your deck, and it's something that meets some requirements for specific cards like color, character, or character trait. And there are different ways you can go about drafting leader cards in a cube. You can even draft them before you draft your card pool, you can draft them while you're drafting your card pool, or you can draft them after you draft your card pool. So a lot of drafts, a lot of card pools, but that's the essentially way you can either draft them in 3 different ways, either before, during, or after the cube. And now, if you want to draft the leader cards before or after the draft, then you have no worry, as it's likely everybody who has one will then proceed to playing games. However, if you draft leader cards in your card pool, then you will want to include this specific rule to ensure that at the end of drafting, everybody will have a leader card to ensure they can play their games. And the rule is simply, you must pick the first leader card you find during the draft. Now with this, because where you're drafting is randomizing the packs, or you can kind of set the packs that you want, but normally it's going to be randomized. But with this rule, if someone picks if they find multiple leader cards in a single pack, they still have to choose that, still have to pick a leader card, but because they've got multiple ones, they can choose between which leader card they take. And the reason why I have this rule is because, once again, it's a core mechanic in the game, and you need a leader card to play the game. And with the other two, if you're drafting it before or after, you're guaranteed to get leaders because you're not drafting anything else, just the leaders. But during the cube, you might have people that don't want to take a leader or try to find a specific leader because they want to play a specific deck, and they might never see it because someone else might take it, or it might be in the last round of packs and someone else will take it then. And if they don't pick a leader throughout that, then they're going to have a whole card pool but no leader. So that's one rule you want to follow for the Dragon Ball Super card game if you're doing cube drafting. And then the second is regarding super combos. So this is a keyword that was introduced back way back in the third set of the Dragon Ball Super card game, which is Crossworlds. And this specific type of card is usually a card with a combo cost of 0, combo power of 10k, that usually has the effect that when it's comboed allows you to draw a card. Alright, this is not something that most cards have, and given how Dragon Ball Super card game works, cards like these are given this keyword to avoid including too many in your deck, because if you could have that on any card, you'd have a load of those put in just to combo and just focus on leader dot decks. And this is because the super combo. The super combo is a unique keyword, a unique type of keyword that, like the keyword ultimate, if you've seen that on secret rares in this game, limits the number of cards you can include in your deck with it on. So this is something they introduced set free to put on. So you might see some, like the first generation of super combos from this first set, not have them on, but they were around to have them on, but since haven't had and actually reprint errata with the actual text on, which would be handy for the cube, so I can actually have it on there. But hey ho, and I don't really want to reprint cards that aren't really technically used at the moment, even though one is kind of used, but it's a niche card in one deck. And because of that, the rule for that is that these are limited to 4 copies allowed in your deck, and as such is followed in the cube as well. So that rule is still followed. That keyword skill rule is still followed into the cube. So even though you can draft like a lot more than 4 super combos if you wanted to, you can still only play 4 in your deck, because just to make it fair. And then last but not least is how you win a game in Cube Draft, and usually in the Dragon Super Card game, the main ways to either win are to either deal 8 damage to your opponent or make your opponent draw the last card of their deck. So either doing enough damage to finish them off or making them deck out. And with that, as I mentioned, there are many ways to win, as there are there are many ways to win in the game, because over time we've got a few other ones that are like alternative ways to win using specific conditions for certain cards. Like I'll see things like there's the Beerus leader from the first ever set that has an alternative way to win by paying 16 energy using its effect, you win the game. And other ones we've got over time which are less likely to pull off. And for the cube, I've made it so the only win condition is to deal 8 life to your opponent, because there's no real unless you build up consistency, you can potentially deck out quite quickly, or not in everyone's. And like with some other draft formats, they have it so if there's no deck out, so everything gets reset. And I do the same for the cube, and we have it though. So if either player ends up drawing the last card of the deck, they simply combine their drop area with their warp, shuffle them together and place it back in their deck area and continue playing. So what that basically is if either player would draw the last card, they rebuild their deck using their warp and drop and continue on playing, so shuffle back up and restart. But only their drop and their warp go together, so you don't put your hand back in or anything like that. And that's to make it so the force on damage, and because there's only one. There is an alternative one condition in the cube, which you'll probably see when we go to the leaders in a later episode, and that is the main way you've put to win. So hopefully that will make sense, and that has answered your question about what is a cube draft, and understand what draft is, what a cube is, and what the rules are to cube drafting. And hopefully it looks a little better and a bit more informative than the old series was. So that's it for me today on cube draft. So next one we'll come to the next episode at some point, which will cover how to draft. So even though we know what draft is now, we'll go over how to actually draft, and hopefully provide some helpful points to anybody who want to try cube drafting, to help make it a little bit so they can up their game with cube drafting. So that's all from me today. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.